The city skyline shimmered outside Robert King's corner office, a monument to his empire and success. Inside, however, the air was heavy with irritation. For the third time this month, he'd received complaints from his assistant about the cleaner missing spots, dust on the shelves, smudges on the glass table. To Robert, perfection was non-negotiable, and anything less was a waste of his money. Slamming his pen down, he decided he'd had enough. Without waiting for another report or excuse, he pushed back his leather chair and marched toward the janitor's small break room at the end of the hallway. The space was far from the sleek luxury he was used to: plain walls, a battered table, and the faint smell of cleaning supplies. He was ready to deliver his decision swiftly. Maria, the cleaner, would be fired today. No more second chances. But when he knocked, the door creaked open, and instead of the weary face of the woman he expected, a small pair of eyes looked up at him. A little girl, no more than 8, sat on the chair with her feet dangling above the floor, clutching a small lunchbox. Her hair was pulled back neatly, and her smile was shy yet warm. Robert blinked, caught off guard. "Where's your mother?" he asked. The girl's voice was soft, but it carried a quiet confidence. "She's cleaning your office again," she said. "She wants it perfect for you, so you won't be upset." In that instant, Robert's anger faltered, replaced by something he couldn't quite name. Robert stood in the doorway, momentarily disarmed by the child's calm presence. Her words lingered in the air, soft yet piercing. "So you won't be upset," she had said, as if that was the most natural thing in the world. He shifted uncomfortably, feeling the sharp edge of guilt press against his thoughts. Trying to regain his authority, he asked, "And what's your name?" "Lily," she replied with a polite nod, still clutching her lunchbox. There was no fear in her voice, only a kind of innocent curiosity. Before he could respond, she tilted her head and asked a question so simple it felt like a punch to his chest. "When you have as much money as you, do you still get upset about small things?" Robert opened his mouth but no words came. The hum of the fluorescent light above filled the silence between them. This wasn't the conversation he had prepared for. He was ready to reprimand, to issue an ultimatum, not to be questioned by a child about the way he valued his emotions. Lily's eyes searched his, not with judgment but with genuine wonder. "Mama says the small things don't matter. She says we don't need much in life, just kindness." She smiled faintly, as if sharing a secret. Robert felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest. The usual armor he wore in business meetings seemed useless now. For the first time in a long while, someone had made him question whether he was truly as rich as he thought he was. Robert leaned against the doorframe, his polished confidence starting to crumble under the weight of Lily's innocent words. She didn't seem to realize the impact she was having. Her tone was casual, almost conversational, yet each sentence felt like a mirror reflecting parts of himself he'd long ignored. Lily swung her feet gently, the lunchbox resting on her lap. "Mama works extra hours," she continued, "so I can have lunch at school every day. And, she's saving for my new shoes. I need them for sports day." She spoke without complaint, as if this sacrifice was simply part of life. "She tells me we're lucky because we have each other. And because there are people in the world who can be kind, even if they don't know us." Robert felt a lump form in his throat. He thought about the countless hours Maria must have spent in his office, wiping and polishing the same surfaces he had barely noticed, all while worrying about something as small as her daughter's shoes. It was such a sharp contrast to his own world, where a single dinner could cost more than her monthly paycheck. Her words didn't accuse him, but they exposed a truth he had avoided for years, that he had measured people by their productivity, never by their humanity. Lily gave him a small smile, unaware she had just planted the seed of change inside him. For the first time, Robert didn't feel like the man in control of the conversation. He felt like the one learning a lesson. Maria stepped into the room, her hands still gloved, the faint scent of cleaning spray clinging to her clothes. Her eyes flickered between Robert and her daughter, confusion clouding her tired face. She stood tall, but there was a quiet resignation in her posture, as if she had already accepted whatever decision he was about to deliver. Robert opened his mouth to speak, but the words caught in his throat. For a moment, all he could see was the exhaustion etched into her features and the faint redness in her hands from years of scrubbing and polishing. Lily's earlier words echoed in his mind, "We don't need much, just kindness." The sentence replayed like a gentle but unyielding reminder, cutting through the layers of his usual justifications. He realized this wasn't about missed spots or imperfect work. This was about the way he had been moving through life, valuing perfection over people, results over relationships. Maria stood silently, waiting. Robert noticed the way her eyes softened when she looked at Lily, the unspoken love in that glance. It was a love that didn't ask for reward, that endured long hours and aching muscles without complaint. He felt an unexpected shame, not for the mess on his office shelves, but for how easily he had dismissed the person who kept them clean. In that pause, Robert's anger dissolved completely. The decision he had been so ready to make minutes ago no longer seemed possible. Something inside him had shifted, and he knew there was no going back. Robert straightened his posture, but his tone was softer than it had been in years. Instead of delivering the termination he'd planned, he said, "Maria, I owe you an apology." The word surprised even him. Maria blinked, unsure if she'd heard correctly. "You've been working harder than I realized, and I've been looking at the wrong things," he continued. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table toward her. Inside was a new contract, permanent, with double her current pay, and a note stating that her daughter's school expenses would be fully covered. Maria's hands trembled as she picked it up, glancing at Lily, whose eyes were wide with excitement. I don't know what to say," Maria whispered. Robert smiled faintly. "You don't need to say anything. Just keep doing what you've been doing. And take care of your little girl." In the days that followed, Robert went further. He created an employee fund to support the families of his staff, ensuring no child would have to go without basic needs. But more than the financial changes, there was a shift in the man himself. He began greeting the cleaning staff by name, asking about their families, noticing the people behind the work. As Lily hugged her mother tightly, Robert felt a warmth in his chest, a kind he hadn't felt from any business deal. For the first time, he understood that wealth wasn't measured in numbers, but in the lives you chose to lift up.